Welcome to a new episode of Reptile TV. Take a look at my gorgeous little intro animal. I think it wasn't that long ago that I showed something like this. I believe I had a pretty similar one before, if I'm not completely mistaken. Look, he's even giving off a little hiss. It's a jungle carpet python, Morelia spilotis cheney. The Morelia spilotis cheney, jungle carpet python, a larger or medium to large python species from Australia. People used to say that the cheneys or the jungles stay smaller, but honestly they don't stay that small. Sure, there are bigger carpet pythons, but a cheney still grows quite a bit. What's really great about the cheney is its intense black and yellow coloration and that awesome head pattern, That's what I absolutely love, like that head, that pattern on it. Honestly, you could hardly imagine anything more beautiful, a great terrarium animal, easy to keep, easy to breed. It's basically always been part of what I'd almost call the standard repertoire among people who keep and breed pythons, something you just sort of expect to see in any serious collection. Yeah, I really like it a lot, you probably noticed, but I always rave about my intro animals. But today, again, a particularly beautiful intro animal for you. Today's topic, the top 5 beginner mistakes with Python regius. I've already talked about mistakes with Python regius many times. Some of you insiders might think, oh my God, what now? We already know all this, we know it all. Still, it's an interesting or rather an important summary when you boil it down. And it's also for when newcomers enter the hobby. This is something classic that they look for. And I think it's actually great if they find this episode and can avoid these mistakes. So for all the pros among you, you'll just have to bear with it. See it as educational work for the newcomers, and maybe there's even a small new thought or two for you, though I think any experienced terrarium keeper knows all this. But like I said, very important for beginners. The 5th point, or the first, doesn't matter. It's not ranked like biggest mistake, smallest mistake. I'd rate them all the same. So number 5 is mass keeping, We terrarium folks know how it is. Snakes are just so fascinating, and every snake is always the last one, and then comes another last one, and you buy another last one because that color is just so amazing. I don't think you could call us animal hoarders because of it, but it's just the fascination, and that's totally fine as long as you do it properly or breed the animals later on. I think there's nothing wrong with that. What's important is that it doesn't turn into mass keeping in one terrarium, like I built a 2-meter terrarium. Yeah, at first there's one inside, or maybe a pair, and well, then you add a 3rd one, and a 4th one would still fit too. So in my opinion, already after the 2nd snake, the 3rd one with a lot of question marks whether I should really keep 3 pythons or ball pythons in one terrarium. I would definitely put a question mark behind it. In my opinion, they actually prefer to be alone. A pair is okay. The 3rd already becomes difficult, and of course the 3rd shouldn't be 2 males and 1 female, and 4 or 5 or even 6 snakes in one terrarium, no matter how big, is absolutely not okay. Please don't make that mistake. Now, number 4, also a real classic, but one that often gets misunderstood, is the temperature gradient, or the idea of a temperature range from one side of the enclosure to the other. I remember when I first got into the hobby, I read Ludwig Trudnau's books, Snakes 1 and Snakes 2. In there it says ball python, and then it gives you a temperature range. Temp 25 to 30 degrees, so you think, okay, that's what I need. Maybe 25 degrees in one corner of the terrarium and 30 degrees in another corner, and then I have a nice temperature gradient, and he can choose. The ball python doesn't want 25 degrees. There are no 25 degrees in Africa. Maybe during a really cool night, but Not on any day. Not a single day in Africa is it 25 degrees, and in West Africa, where they come from, 25 degrees. Nowhere, not even in any hiding spot or anywhere else. So he definitely doesn't want that. During the day, he wants his 30 degrees or 31 or 32, no matter if it's here or there or somewhere else, right? What he can also do if 30 degrees aren't enough is, for example, early in the morning, if the temperature dropped at night to, well, 25, 26, 27, 25 degrees is a cold night for a ball python. Really, West Africa is blazing hot even at night. Then the ball python will even go and stick part of its body a little into the sun, right? And in the sun, it's not 30 degrees, it's 40 degrees because of the radiation, or even 45, right? Sometimes they lie hidden a bit in the grass. The head is usually hidden too, but they stretch a loop of their body a little into the sun to absorb even more heat, because at just about 30 degrees, they already can't wait to reach their 31 degree preferred temperature, right? And that's exactly how you should set it up in the terrarium. So forget anything about 25 degrees. Ball pythons need it blazing hot. They need a good 30 degrees during the day throughout the whole terrarium. Mistake number 3 goes somewhat in the same direction, but I already mentioned it a little earlier. Nighttime temperature is, of course, also absolutely important, right? When I ask people about the temperature in their terrarium, the standard answer is always, everything's great. And when you ask closer, they say very warm, and eventually it comes out, well, 30 degrees and so on, then everything's fine. And when I ask at night, then they say it drops a bit. And that's when the critical point comes up, that there are still people who let it drop to room temperature at night. And room temperature is way too cold, right? Every normal house in Germany, even at night, the heating is turned down. So if you get up at, say, 5 in the morning, the apartment cools down to around 16, 18 degrees, right? That's normal, that's intentional, it's done to save energy. And even if the terrarium stays a little warmer, or the terrarium room is a separate room that maybe doesn't cool down as fast, we're still only at about 20 degrees. And the ball python wants at least 25, better 26 or 27 degrees at night, right? So mistake number 3, turning off all heating at night is not an option. You must heat the ball python's terrarium day and night. No one has such a warm apartment. No one keeps their heating or room temperature at 25, 26 degrees day and night. If you really have an apartment that stays at 26 degrees at night, you should seriously reconsider, because you'll have an insane heating bill. And because you're not doing the environment or our planet any favors by heating your apartment to 26 degrees at night. So that can't be. Then number 2 is the substrate. There are many ways that lead to Rome when it comes to substrate. I think the most common one that's used, it's mostly different wood shavings. I'd say most of them are really good. Just important that they don't mold. Doesn't mold, right? There's beechwood, which is great in terraristics, for example. For corn snakes, really good stuff, but if it gets moist, it molds, right? For the ball python, where you want high humidity, it starts to mold. You can't use that. Otherwise, all the wood shavings are really good. What's totally wrong, and something I know from my early days, I once bought, I don't know how many kilos, I think 100 kilos, because I had also built a 2-meter terrarium for my first ball python. And I bought 200 kilos of quartz sand and put quartz sand in there. I don't know how anyone gets the idea that sand and a tropical animal belong together, because sand is found in deserts, sand is found on beaches, but there's no sand in the savanna, jungle, or bush, or anywhere else, nowhere. So sand is definitely wrong. Quartz sand is even worse because it's very sharp and causes infections under the scales. So sand is totally wrong. Mistake number 2, please don't make that mistake. And mistake number 1, well, that's really almost a summary of at least 2 or 3 of the main points we've already talked about. Some kind of stupid light bulb has no place in a ball python terrarium. When people come to me, usually the whole conversation starts because they're having some kind of problem. like it's not eating or shedding poorly or whatever. And then I see a photo and there's a light bulb hanging in the terrarium. Then I'm like, I don't know how to put it. Saying I want to puke is too harsh. Maybe fainting is more accurate, or just shaking my head or something. That's just nonsense, right? A light bulb or even a spot lamp or something that has no business in a ball python terrarium. The terrarium needs proper heating. The best are simply heat panels. In a pinch, you can maybe use ceramic heat emitters. But with a light bulb, that brings us to the next point, nighttime temperatures. When people ask me, how do you heat at night? They say either, like I said before, not at all. They turn it off, or it stays warm. Or I've even had people say, I leave it on day and night because the temperature, well, I know they like it warm, so I just leave the bulb on 24/7. And that's something you just can't do, right? A ball python terrarium with a light bulb or spot lamp or anything like that, total no-go. If anyone out there has one and is turning red right now, please change it. Use a proper heat panel for temperature, and for lighting, use something like LED or a tube or whatever you think looks nice. Or if you absolutely want to leave the bulb in as a daytime light, fine, I guess, but really don't. Just take it out. Light bulbs don't belong in a ball python terrarium. Those were the top 5 mistakes with ball pythons. Today was another one of those talk-heavy episodes where you can't really show or insert a lot of stuff. So maybe a bit dry today. I was just rambling the whole time. Sometimes you just have to sit through it. If you have any comments, or if I forgot a mistake, so I have to admit the first 3 or 4 came to me super quickly and then I really had to think about it, or like I said, they start repeating themselves pretty fast once. If I forgot something really important, or if you know some other classic mistakes, feel free to post them below. Thumbs up if you liked it. You've all subscribed to the channel anyway. If you haven't, turn it off immediately. You're not allowed to watch again until you've subscribed, and otherwise stay loyal, and this time it works again. Check my balls.